Accept your death.
So, I was at Subway the other day, and I'm walking in, and it's just me, and there's this lady in front of me. She's the only other person in the, well, there's one other guy that just paid for his order, and she is throwing a tantrum, and I'm trying to understand exactly what's happening. And as I'm starting listening, I guess she had ordered a sandwich on the app. Now, she had said that she didn't want her sub toasted. So what happened is, what I'm gathering in my head, is that they didn't toast her sandwich because that's what she asked them to do. Now, she is upset because they didn't toast her sandwich, because she got a meatball sandwich. And why would I ever want a meatball sandwich not toasted? And the workers there are just like, I mean, we just made what you asked us to make. It's not really for us to judge what you like. And she's like, I guess there's some weird people, but like, why would somebody not want a meatball sandwich? So she's essentially getting mad at them.
She's like, shut up, lady. There's a line. Come on. Yeah.
She's getting mad at them for making exactly what she ordered, which is the most ridiculous thing ever. And like, the guy there is like, we can make you a new sandwich. It's not that big of a deal. And she's like, oh, I don't know if we need to do that. And I'm sitting there like, well, what's the point of all this then? And then,
oh my God. Yeah. She needs some human interaction.
And then the guy that's leaving, as he's leaving, he shouts like this is like a rally or something, right? He's like, just remember the customer's always right. And she's like, I know. And I'm thinking like, that's exactly what they're saying, is that she's right. And they made her, and by the way, the whole quote is the customer is always right in matters of taste. So that, again, kind of hurts her cause even more. And I'm just sitting there like, can't believe this whole thing is happening. They end up making her a sandwich, and she just takes it and storms off. I get to
so she was still mad?
She was still mad. Like, after all of that, like, they were pretty calm, cool, and collected. They were like, we'll just make you a sandwich. Like, it's not a big deal. And
look,
then
the customer is not always right. No. Like, you know this because you work retail-ish sort of thing, right? You have to interface with the public. They're often wrong, right? Almost always.
That's why they come to us.
Oh, man.
And that's why, that's why, like, in the whole matters of taste thing is like the end of that quote, because like in my world, if like, you know, Phyllis comes in and wants a bright pink for her bathroom because she really likes bright pink, not for me to say like, don't do bright pink, that's going to look stupid. I'm just going to get you a bright pink that it is for you. It's not my place to judge your color, but if you're going to come in and tell me that you're painting over a dark green and that pink is going to cover in 2 coats, I'm going to tell you you're wrong. Like, I'm sorry, you want this bright pink, but like, you're going to have to do a few coats. What color would that make? That would make a gross gray. Because that's something I deal with all the time, is like, people will come in and they'll get their like dark green wall or whatever, or dark gray or whatever it is, and they'll choose like an off-white or something, and I'll be like, you know, that like colors, really strong colors will, you know, blend through or whatever, and you'll have to do a couple coats, or you could prime it or whatever, and like, you know, those are the things.
Is that what you would recommend? Prime it first and just don't worry about it?
Yeah, depending on the color, like especially like bright reds, like you want to prime that. Reds will bleed through freaking anything. You just put a little coat of a gray primer on there and then 2 coats to your top and you're done. Otherwise, you're going to be doing 5 coats of whatever, and it still might turn it into whatever, a weird color that you don't want. Because that's just how colors work. They blend together, and you know, now you get a weird gray instead of your off-white that you wanted. So, but like in things like that, you know, like, yeah, the customer's wrong. They don't know what they're talking about. But far be it from me to say what you think is cool. I have, my house is blue and I like blue. So,
blue?
Yeah, it's a...
What kind of cretin are you?
Hey, it's a positive color. It was a really dark brown before, and it was kind of depressing because there's already not much light in here to begin with. So I was like, oh, let's get something brighter. But not as bright as the comments. Hey, let's go. I love how I hype myself up like I just made the funniest joke of all time ever. It is every week too, you know. It's not just one and done. So anyways, first comment here by Koala Bear Khan. This is why we need actual patch notes. Give us a little note explaining each change, no matter how simple or complicated. We felt this character wasn't playing to its best strength, so we increased its damage by X. Boom. Simple. Love that comment, Koala. Yeah, so Hater showed me a couple of patch notes from other games like Tekken. Street Fighter 6 is not only am I impressed with how Street Fighter 6, like, what they included in the notes, but just their presentation of it. Like, they have a nice little bar on the side that you click your character and you go in, and it kind of gives you a rundown of kind of what they wanted, where they were trying to make a change, and then it goes into kind of a more kind of what NRS does of the actual list of what it does, what kind of category it falls into, adjustment or bug fix or whatever, and then it kind of shows the adjustment. And I really think that NRS is like way behind, and I'm not sure why they haven't. They've always kind of been that way with their patches, where it's just like, hey, here's a bunch of changes. Good luck figuring out what we want you to do. Like, it's
I don't know how long patch notes like this, and these aren't the only other two games that do it, right? Most other games, their patch notes look like this. Like even Killer Instinct was doing this sort of stuff like way back when, right? With nice rationale about what they thought, like how the meta was developing, and we think this is too strong, or we want to increase this, increase the risk reward, yada yada, like whatever it might be. What was this in reference to? What were we talking about last week that spawned this comment? I'm curious. Do you remember?
No, I don't remember the exact thing. I think we were just talking about maybe some adjustments that happened, probably Quan Chi specific, but like things like that, where it's like, I feel like for Quan, they're like, okay, we want Quan to have a strong keep away, so we are increasing this to help ensure that he can be a little bit more dominant in that range, And I think that would just clear up so much, and everyone that's like, no, he needs a 7-frame poke, he needs, take away his 2-bar launcher, like, that would just clear that up. Like, that's why they're doing it. That's where they want him to play. That's the focus. That's where they want the vision that they have for these characters, right? So
right.
And it's frustrating that they're the only development team that seems to not do this. And I don't know if it's a team thing. Like, I know I was talking to Dizzy at Evo, and he says that he writes up all the patch notes himself. So, thinking back, hindsight's always 50-50 or whatever you say. But I should have asked him why they don't do that the same way that the other developers do. But maybe if you're at an event and you're talking to them, maybe you can bring that up and say, hey, why don't you guys do that? Why don't you give us a little bit more information on what you're trying to achieve with these changes, so that we're not trying to guess or figure it out. Maybe they're scared of like telling people to play a certain way. I couldn't fathom a guess. Having people play your game optimally just seems like the right thing to do, but
I just think they don't think about their game that way. Like, you see how involved like these other games, let's say the other let's say Street Fighter, Tekken, Strive, Grand Blue. Well, maybe not Grand Blue, maybe not even Strive. Tekken and Street Fighter for sure, though, where they are like so involved in the competitive sort of thing and have their own circuit with point building and tiers, and then one big, like, we have like Final Combat and stuff like that, but it's kind of like to the nth degree with the other two, and they put a lot more into it. But they're both also Japanese companies, right? And it's just different the way that the economy and businesses and stuff work over there. And Street Fighter is like, you go down to the corner store and you see cutouts of Ryu and Ken or like whatever, right? It's like really big pop culture out there, where it's not really like out here. And I think that NRS said it's how like MKX era, right? And we had all these cool sort of advancements in the practice mode, and we finally got rollback netcode and all this stuff. And they were like really setting the precedent back then, and people had to catch up to them. We've talked about that before. That they kind of fell off, right? They're still kind of riding their own coattails from that era, and everyone else is kind of caught up to and surpassed that now, while they're still doing things the way things were done 10 years ago. I wonder if that has something to do with it too. A combination of, some things. I don't really know.
It sounds like old man like yells at cloud, like, I've always done it this way, and this is how we've always done it, so we'll just keep doing it that way, kind of a thing. Because I do agree with you. Like, they had the best netcode at one point in time with MKX, so that was like a really big thing. And like, yeah, they dropped off. So I don't know. I think in MK1 was their first time on this newer upgraded engine making a game, which could be part of the reason why they ran into so many problems. So hopefully they kind of figure all that out by the time the next game comes out. But yeah.
And we know that they're forced to work at a really rapid pace and stuff, right? And they have overlords, corporate overlords, and all that stuff too. And they just don't have the time to prioritize that sort of stuff, right? Because their publisher doesn't prioritize it.
Yeah. So, yeah, exactly. So and Mortal Kombat in general just has such a larger casual crowd, I feel, than like all the other fighting games. You know, like the other fighting games, like there's a little bit of casual stuff to it. You know, like you have like what's the little story mode thing in Street Fighter called again? You go through and you play as your own created character.
The little arcade mode.
Yeah, and like the Battle Lounge. World Tour? World Tour, that's what it is. So
World Tour, dude, I was thinking World Tour is like Conquest mode. Imagine running through there. It's kind of dumb in Street Fighter, right? It's a bunch of guys with boxes on their heads. Like whatever the lore is
yeah.
And what's going on is pretty dumb. But I was thinking, because when I was running around in there, it's like, this would be fucking sick if I was in Outland and I was, you know, running up to Shinnok and Quan Chi and Reiko and all the old like Conquest mode. Like, this could be cool. Why don't they just do something like this? It would be way better than Invasions and Towers of Time, right? You incorporate whatever you need within that same mode and you create your character. You're running around as an avatar. And Street Fighter really leaned into that, and they have like, you know, avatar battles and stuff, and it's like this mishmash of you choose one character whose core moveset you have, like your buttons and stuff, and your jump and all of that, and but you get to choose all your special moves. So you could have like Scorpion Spear and Sub-Zero Slide and I don't know, Liu Kang's Fireball, like, you know, whatever, just for your avatar for that dumb super casual mode. And they already have a huge casual audience, but that would be kind of just fun killing time shit too for the rest of us.
Yeah, that's now you're thinking there, hater. People have been saying for years that they want Conquest mode back, and I don't like. Sometimes I just don't understand like NRS. You know, I don't know if it's NRS or probably WB or whatever it is, but like. People are having all this ideas like if you do this, we'll throw money at you. Like we want
this is a money printing machine.
Yeah, well, like Shaolin Monks remake, everybody wants it. I don't think I've talked to a single Mortal Kombat player that doesn't want a Shaolin Monks remake. Like just we'll throw money, just make it. So I don't get it. Why
was that PS2 era?
Yes, PS2 era. Yeah, the same as
I read something this week that the reason none of the PS2 era stuff is in the Legacy collection is that they don't really have the tech to port that or whatever. Like there's something specifically inhibiting them from doing it.
They can't port it the way that they would like the Legacy collection kind of idea, the 90s stuff, which would make sense. But I mean, maybe make them remaster, you know, especially if. You know,
do it again, bro.
just do it again. But with some balancing and stuff. Like, I don't know. I'd buy it. Like, it could be fun. Maybe a Shaolin Monks 2 and like extend the story a little bit. Like, even that with like the same kind of hack and slash kind of fighting, beat 'em up kind of idea. I don't know. I think that would be super cool. But people were theorizing that they have like a second Legacy collection for like the 3D era games and like the PS2 era games, but what you just said, if they're having problems porting it, then maybe that might be the case, but that would be cool. I'd welcome it for sure.
You know, I was thinking this probably isn't related, right? But MK9 losing its license at Steam, they got taken down from Steam. Do you think that was about the time that they started cooking this stuff? How long has this been in the oven? And does that mean that that's going to be a part of like something else? I don't know why that would have forced them to take it off or why they would want to, you know, take it off Steam.
I thought it had something to do with Freddy Krueger and his licensing or something.
Did we know that for sure? I feel like that's what people started speculating, and then all of a sudden people were talking about it like it was fact. And I don't know if I missed something where somebody's estate or whatever said, yes, that's what happened. But
no, I don't think there's been any confirmation of that. I think it was just like this thing happened around the same time that MK9 was taken down, so people just like theory crafted that. I don't know.
Yeah, it sounds like peanut gallery. Yeah, speculation.
Because didn't the voice of Freddy do Scarecrow in Injustice 2? Wasn't that the same guy? Maybe I'm getting
the guy who was Freddy in all of them except for the remake.
for the remake.
That they did, right? Robert Englund, and he was Scarecrow in Injustice 2, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. I feel like having a link to that franchise is something that is a point to be made to that, or maybe not. He's just doing voice acting. Well, what do I know about that kind of stuff? So, the only Freddy movie I've ever seen was Freddy vs. Jason, and that was very entertaining and very terrible. But from what I understand, most of those movies are. So, it is what it is.
Yeah. And they were getting pretty campy, pretty cheeky in that era that they made that and stuff too. And getting a little silly, in my opinion.
Wasn't there one where Jason goes to space?
Yeah, Jason X.
That's
X,
crazy.
Jason in space.
That's crazy. That's like,
I never saw that one.
I haven't seen any of the. I think I've seen the original like 2 maybe. But yeah, it's every franchise. If it's left long enough, it's gonna go to space. I think Fast and the Furious did the same thing. Like it's just, they ran out of ideas. Furious
went to space.
Yeah, yeah. One of the
on a Tesla.
I have no idea what the context was. I've watched the first one because I was like 14 when it first came out. I think they were like,
you were like, fuck yeah, that's what I'm gonna be when I grow up.
I was like,
Vin Diesel's awesome. I'm gonna get jacked.
Yeah, it's I don't know. It was just like the cool thing, right? Like everybody went to see Fast and the Furious. So if you didn't see it, it was cool. And I think I remember in like one of the opening scenes, they're like stealing like VCRs and stuff. And like thinking back, I'm like, oh man.
Wasn't that like when the first Spider-Man movie came out around that same era?
Yeah, yeah. About
like the Lord of the Ring movies.
Yeah, the Lord of the Ring movies. Oh man, that was an era. There were some good movies in that era, and then there were some good comedies in that era too. We were talking about that a couple weeks ago too, and I went back and I watched one of them, and man, I didn't really like hold up that great. Definitely a product of its time, but anyway, we went on a tangent there. Holy, great comment, Qual. I appreciate that. I don't know how we got
way to
talking
derail it there.
Oh, just me rambling. All right. Anyways, next comment here, Natty T. I feel the same way about Korn's 2-bar move as I do Melina EXI. They are super unsafe, expensive options that don't even give you a lot of damage. I feel like both of them should have the option to meter burn, again, to change the property, so Quan you'd have to spend 2 bars for the launch, but 1 bar for the faster startup and more damage. Melina, 1 bar for full screen straight side and 2 bars for the follow-up grab. Also finally ran into you on Xbox and got you to show you the power of Melina Frost. GG's. Yeah, that team was kind of fucky. It's like Melina's like quick overhead attacks and her strings, like right off her standing 1, even though Frost is a little slow, it was kind of hard to react to that kind of stuff. It's that team. I mean, I don't have to. I'm preaching the choir here. I'm sure that's probably one of the teams you mess around with the most, but I got hit by all sorts of shit in that matchup.
I like Frost way better with like at least 2 other characters. I think that Melina Frost is fine, but other characters can do way more, like way nastier with Frost, in my opinion. But that is a cool team, and that's a really fast overhead versus a really slow low. But you hit people, like when I play Melina Scorpion, you hit people with that slow ass overhead all the time, right? Forward 2 overhead is like a meme. These people just have so much muscle memory for blocking the low in that string, the forward 2-4.
Yeah, it's true.
So.
And they bop you on. Yep. Bop you on. You got to watch them toes, But
you get a little rollback, a little bit of ping, and it's game over.
GG's, But I mean, that could be one thing. I'm still not really a component of changing that tentacle move. To be honest, I don't really care that much. But yeah, you want to spend 1 bar and then kind of extend the second bar, kind of like meter burning it or whatever, to get the launch. That could be an idea. It's not really a change I see NRS making, to be honest, but like there was a lot of that in MKX.
It would be cool if this game actually had hard knockdowns. And then something like that could be a hard knock. Like right now, everything's a hard knockdown, right? Because there's no tech rolling.
Right.
But if say there were tech rolls in this game and only certain things were hard knockdowns, that'd be cool to be able you spend a bar, get a little bit more damage, and it turns into a hard knockdown that gives you like the spacing you need for like a meaty or something like that, right? And they can't tech roll away from that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that maybe in the next game. I don't know. We'll see. I just don't foresee them doing that in this game. There's only like a couple moves. I think maybe only one move that I'm thinking of is Kung Lao's armored move, where you can spend 2 bars on it. Question mark. I'm not really sure. Can't really
spend a second bar for armor. So Tanya's works that way, and Sector works that way.
Oh, right, Sector as well. I forgot about that. So there are a couple examples of it in this game. I'm not really sure that's a change they're going to make. Personally, I think Melina's fine as she is right now. I kind of agree with but I think her move has maybe a little bit more use than Quan's. I'm not sure. I feel like there's
they're both combo. They're both combo starters.
Yeah, so like a full screen projectile combo starter, that's pretty good. I mean,
right, but that's just all you have, right? Besides EX loci, which is not going to catch anybody jumping, and it would just be agree. I don't think that she quote unquote needs it, but it definitely would be some nice quality of life to be able to spend a single bar for full screen side that does not combo, right? It just works like the loci, so to like interface with cameos and things like that, but she's not getting anything off of it. Or you could spend the second bar to teleport in for a combo.
Right.
That'd be cool.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things where like I love to see moves like improved that like are not used very often. And that's one that I don't think is like, I usually see it in like the first 2 tiers of Combat League when people like, and then you up block it once and I go, right, that's why I don't use it. That's because it's so easy to counter. But then after that, I don't usually see it. Usually I'm pretty terrified though if I see Melina. Melina players at this stage of the game are quite scary. That character's really good.
She has a lot of built-in annoyances. She's like designed to be like really annoying. So even at like a lower, skill floor or something like that, I feel like she's still super obnoxious to play against. She kind of gets under your skin.
Yeah, she definitely gets under my skin. Freaking at whatever forward 4 overhead or whatever it is she is, and
it's so funny.
Plus on
it's so funny hitting like 3 of those in a row, and then a sweep, and then another, overhead. Like once you kind of get that going, I mean, it's not the best Oki and stuff, right? But you get some pretty funny sequences, especially against. I mean, that breaks armor and stuff too. So
yeah, I've been definitely Melina'd quite a few times in the last couple of years in this game. It's just that stupid move, and then I'll try and skydrop, but it's too slow, and freaking skydrop gets broken, and it's like, I hate skydrop. Skydrop is probably one of my least favorite moves on Cheese, and probably his least favorite, continuous legacy move. It's never good.
I know they want it to be an option, but they don't want it to be good. They just don't want him to have good defense, which is why they gave him 900 health and 9 frame down 1, 8 frame standing 1. Is it 9 frame down 1?
Yeah, 9 frame down 1.
Yeah. 8 frame standing 1. Right, just
you better keep them away from you.
You would think he'd be more oppressive. I mean, he can be oppressive, right? Sometimes when I fight against Quan, it makes it really hard to feel bad for Quan players because if he has a good game plan and can keep things like really mixed up and unpredictable, can really exploit, gaps in matchup knowledge and stuff like that, I feel like I just get steamrolled by some Quans that I don't know. But other times I feel like he's okay. He's okay to manage. It just really depends. He's really a player character because he is kind of like on the lower end of the tier. It's the person behind the will that's really elevating him. And once he's elevated, that shit is whack.
Yeah, I know all about it. Trust me. I've played games where like, especially now with his new overhead, like you get him in the corner and it's like armor up and now hold this armored mix for a little while. If you get hit once, I have enough hit advantage off the overhead to put out another portal, and if I hit it off the low, congratulations, big combo and another armor portal. So it's like, I don't know. It's a really weird way of getting him rush down. I do not like the armor portal. I feel like it takes me out of the element of a fighting game, and I'm just kind of playing like this little mini game, just trying to mix up, and I don't like to rush down.
Just taking your turn when you're way negative, and then it turns into like a trying to hit confirm, like even like more so, but you're kind of like breaking the rules, just like cameos do, right? I should be eating a full combo, but instead it's still my turn, sort of thing.
I played a Scorpion yesterday that had really good armor portal awareness. Like, it didn't matter if it was on the screen, they were countering it every single time, just using a combination of like the standing one into armor, just to like those 2 quick moves, or like timing the high row spin or whatever it's called to hit me out of my armor and not allow me to get any more hits. I don't know, I was super impressed with how they worked around it. So like, there's definitely gameplays around it, but it's super duper annoying, I think, on both ends personally to have to deal with. So hopefully next game we just get some runes and trances and classic Quan. Hoping he comes back for the next game. I wouldn't be surprised if he skipped one, but I hope not. All right, final comment here. Hero Playa says, LOL, that drinking game sounds like fun. Taking a sip every time you say I believe. And I do that a lot, you know. I just sometimes am I going to commit to this? Am I going to commit to the comeback? You know, I believe. And I just...
Sometimes I feel like you say I believe after the fact to kind of backpedal. Instead of saying I know that was a bad breaker, you're like, nope, I believe. I'm like, nope, I spent it. I'm going in on it. It wasn't the plan, but it just happened.
Sometimes, you know, the story doesn't always write itself. Sometimes I gotta write it too, you know, like,
right.
You know, maybe I smash that breaker, and you know, nobody who's watching knows that was like a rage breaker. So, you know, we'll follow it up with the I believe.
You son of a bitch.
Yeah, trust me. I can tell that's when I like need to like end the run, is when I just start like breakering just out of like, no, get off me. Like, that was not a good idea at all, but I did it. That's when I'm like, all right, I need to take a break. I need to step back here, which is actually something I should probably be doing in Combat League. Because yeah, that old season ended. I kind of messed around with Lee May a little bit too much last season, and I kind of lost my run a bit. Which, by the way, like, Lee May she's super fun. I'll probably still play her on the side, but could not be any less of a character for me. Like, I just the rush down, and like, you know, it's so ironic that I am a salty little bitch at getting zoned out, even though I know what I'm impressed by the zoning capabilities of people. I'm just like, I hate this. I hate getting zoned out, which is probably why I play zoners to begin with, because I know that frustration. And then once you kind of get frustrated, you know, you start to play emotionally and you make silly mistakes, and you know, sometimes
or you're forced to try to, if you want to just skip neutral and use your armor move right, then you start getting baited. And
yep. So, really good character. I think she has really good synergy with Shujinko. Just not a character for me. So, like I said, I'll play her on the side just for the legacy reasons of it, but I think that experiment's done. So I'm just going to focus on leveling up and trying to get to Elder God here as a priority, and then after that, I'll start messing around with some other things and exploring the game a little bit more. I have no idea when any sort of another balance patch is going to happen. I can't imagine it be anytime soon. At this point, I'm probably thinking they're going to wait till after Final Combat. Yeah, that's what we've been saying this whole time, anyways. But
I think that'll be the last one. I'll be officially surprised if we get anything beyond that.
Yeah,
unless they establish it beforehand. But I don't think there'll be any like surprises, or you know, we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I can't even think of what I would want adjusted at this point. Like, all the characters that needed help got a little bit. I think maybe Tanya could be buffed up a little bit, but I will say I've noticed a lot of Striker the more that I'm playing lately. And at first I didn't see a whole lot, so I was kind of like, okay, well, maybe it's a kind of a one-off thing. But like, nope, I think I've probably seen every character in this game now with Striker at least once in Combat League, and they all doing pretty crazy things, you know, big combos off of throws. Like, I think the Scorpion player that I was playing yesterday was getting like 240 off of a throw, which is really good damage for a throw combo with Striker. And then, of course, it's just unsafe shit into grenades, that kind of a thing. So whether this is a fad or whether this is we're back to the Striker meta again, I don't know. I was watching Foxy play Ghostface Striker. That team is actually busted. That's 50% combos off of a command grab. Like, that's crazy. Mid command grab.
Yeah, so was Gemini talking about that team as well. So I figured I had something to do with this command grab. I haven't seen any of the gameplay.
Yeah, no, it's pretty nuts. And then you're kind of in like the mix isn't quite as scary as it is with Movado because it kind of takes away that low option a little bit. But you're still between overhead and grab, and then regular grab, command grab, back into striker shenanigans. So.
Right, with Movado, you have to use the trap to combo off the grab, so you have the scaling from the trap, plus it's your full cameo bar. And grenades are only half a bar.
Yeah, and that's the thing with Ghostface combos too, is like by the time the combo is done, Striker's pretty much back because he's been buffed back up again, and Ghostface has those long ass combos, so he's just ready to queue up and do it again. So whether we see a Ghostface or a lot, I think we're going to see a lot of Striker at Final Combat. That's my read right now, unless something has changed. And
it's going to be Striker. Okay, let's say right now, those little images you like to post, you like to include when we talk about that, even though it only counts the stream matches and the streams aren't very long, so the numbers are super skewed, right? But it's always, statistically, as far as cameos, I think especially gives you an idea of like what's more meta leaning, I guess. It's always Tremors like double what Movado is. Movado's always above everybody else. So you think Striker is going to come in right behind Tremor? Do you think he's going to beat Movado?
I think Striker could be number one, depending on how things are shaking out.
That'd be crazy.
That
is
would
the
be crazy.
Tremor era over? You feel like you see a lot of Tremors still?
I still do see a lot of Tremor, yeah. So, and I mean, you got to take it with a grain of salt. It's I just play the Combat League. I'm not going to tournaments or really anything like that, but I'll check out other people's streams and whatnot. And, I was watching Pulse the other day and he was using Tremor. And so, I don't know. I don't think Tremor is gone. I still think that, I think that just Striker has a little bit more utility now. I don't know. I don't know if maybe at some point in time there's just a little slight nerf to scale or add some more scaling to that little machine gun combo damage thing, but I don't know. If things stay the way they are for Final Combat, I expect to see a Striker take over, and then maybe Tremor number 2, and then Havoc Striker is another one that I'm seeing a lot of. Apparently, a lot of people are saying that's the wave.
So that's another, taking Movado's spot.
Yeah, and I mean, with you got those two. I mean, I'm sure you'll still see some Movado around with some certain pairings, but I mean, at least that cameo is kind of falling down a little bit with the rise of some other cameos, and Darius is another one that I'm seeing a lot of because his wake up is kind of a difficult punish. Luckily for Quan, our standing 4 is pretty consistent to punish that. So, but for, I could imagine stubbier characters because there's a lot of pushback on that move. And even if
you can see what's happening here, right? Like they didn't nerf Movado, but you're going to see way less of them. They nerfed him by buffing other people, right? He's getting kind of, now there's a reason to use people instead of just Movado for everything. So they don't need to go back to negative 100 health or, increases cooldowns any more than, anything they've already done, because it gets to the point to, imagine him having all of those drawbacks and he's still worth using. What does that say about most of the rest of the roster of cameos, right? And so once they elevate them, then Movado gets not toned down, but you see less of him. Definitely there's going to be some more variety, even if it's only Striker and Darius.
Yeah, and I mean, it is what it is. That's cool. I mean, Striker does take the 50 health from you still, I'm pretty sure. So I mean, there is a little bit of a trade-off there. But for big characters like General Shao or Conan or Havoc who have extra health pools to begin with, I mean, is that really that much of a hindrance? You're still playing above the rest of the cast, so who knows in that aspect. One side note that I wanted to mention that we were talking about last week, I believe, was Shujinko's wake up invulnerability. I don't know if we were talking about it on the podcast or afterwards. Either way, I was saying that at one point in time, all of his down forward steals had a little bit of an invulnerability to be used as kind of like a wake up attack or like a reversal or whatever.
Put it on the podcast because I was roasting you for wanting the APEP punch to be invincible.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
So I've changed my tune on that. I was trying to do I didn't count frames, but I did a bunch of testing, and it looks like there's about maybe 7 or 8 frames of invulnerability on his down forward attacks, which doesn't make them very useful. There was only 2 or 3 that I found that were like super duper kind of fast. Like Johnny Cage's nut punch was probably the most consistent for me. I think it's a 13 frame startup. So you have kind of 5 frames where you're vulnerable there. Baraka's blade spark was really fast. And then I can't remember Liu Kang's low fireball, because
Blade Spark has invincibility frames with Shujinko?
Yeah. So because it's a down forward deal.
Dang, he's got a projectile with iframes.
Yeah,
I feel like that's like it's just going to be matchup dependent, just like some of your other steals are like way stronger in other respects, like whether it's damage or something like that. Because when if I'm playing with Sector, I'm not waking up with that cameo the same way I would be with Serena or something, right? There's definitely not every cameo has the luxury of even being able to use it. Like in kind of like up close, meaty situations, it's really good for people trying to like dash in like real quick to try to pressure you on wake up. So you kind of like hit them on their way in. But if they're already on top of you, I feel like Frost, Serena, like all of them get stuffed all the time. Like cameo wake ups aren't very good options for like really good Oki.
Yeah, so Frost and Darius are probably the 2 best ones now, because their invulnerability goes all the way through to where the attack actually hits. And that's the problem with Shujinko, is a lot of his moves are his fastest moves are about 13 frames startup. So if he has about 7 or 8 frames of invulnerability, there's still like 5 frames at minimum where he's vulnerable. So
he still gets stuffed.
So he still gets stuffed all the time. So that's why those quick ones like the Blade Spark and the low fireball specifically, because he kind of low profiles. So if they're trying to meaty or whatever with a high, he will still go under them and they can't hit him as easily, which is why that one works. But like 90% of them are not very useful. So I don't know if it would completely break the cameo to maybe give them like an extra 5 or 6 frames of invulnerability just to make a little bit more moves consistent. Because, I mean, unless they're coming in like and that's another reason why it works quite well against Johnny, is because a lot of Johnnies will try and meaty you with the forward 3. So when you get up, your invulnerability frames will eat that forward 3, and then the nut punch will punish the whiff recovery. But in a lot of other matchups, it's not really the case. So if they're going to make any more changes to Shujinko, I don't know if they would maybe put a couple more vulnerability frames on that wake up attack, or if that might be over the top. Ultimately, I think if Shujinko stays the way he is, he's probably fine. But like, if you want to coax more people to use him, it'd be something a small change, right? I don't know.
All right.
Because then he could use those steals for more fun things, more wake up attacks, more reversals, that kind of idea. But what do I mean?
If you want better defense, you're gonna have to take some dings to your offense with that character. So you can have your iframes, but you're not doing that Ghostface restand bullshit or Ermac's 4 bars worth of Ermac resources right in the same combo because you can charge them in between and all of that. So those are your concessions for iframes.
Yeah,
how do you feel about that?
That wouldn't bother me too much because, it is what it is. I don't know if they had some. You would need to rework that character quite a bit to eliminate those things. I feel like, whereas the iframes are just kind of increasing.
Not eliminate them. You just don't need to be doing 600 damage, right? For a bar meter that starts a combo. And you get 2 full bars of Shujinko in between and all that sort of stuff. That is just like I was saying about Quan earlier, right? I don't think that Shujinko's he's definitely not the strongest cameo, but man, it's hard to feel bad for him. Like in if you're a Ghostface player, an Ermac player, a noob player.
Or Takeda, especially Takeda. That matchup's fucked.
Yeah.
That's and you know, it's definitely an intended thing by NRS, because like he's the combo cameo, you know, you're gonna give up your ambush, so all your crazy weird stuff that you can do. But if you hit someone,
then your iframes are also intended.
Yeah, which is why I'm thinking that, you know, maybe if they wanted to see more people play him, give him some more iframes. Give him an extra.
He has enough. Attack. He has a big enough player base.
There's like 3 of us. 3 Shujinko. Yep. That's enough, is what you say.
Good. It's good enough.
That's fair. That's fair.
We don't need any more of that running around.
And more shenaniganery. I love I love how salty anti-Shujinko you are. It entertains me to no end. I love it.
I mean, like I said, I don't think he's like super strong. He definitely gets by.
He's just annoying.
There's just, it's annoying because it's different for every matchup. And you kind of get the feel for things, but you do have like, you do end up with several iterations of combo paths you would normally use with no cameo, right? Like how you pick somebody up in the air, but some of the weird gravity means that you're doing it this way. So there's a lot more to think about it this way, or as far as that's concerned. But I feel like that's a fair trade-off for getting that kind of damage off of everything, as long as you have meter, right?
Yeah. There's a lot of knowledge and practice and hit confirms and all kinds of stuff that goes into, you know, what he has to do, and a lot of those combo starters are super unsafe. So I mean, if you're just gonna throw it out and hard to hit confirm, mind you, the kick makes it a little bit easier to hit confirm because you can just stop it at the kick, but then you're unsafe too, and then you're playing that.
I think that's a fair mind game. I think that's a totally fair mind game. What's happening with the punch and the kick?
Yeah, it's a little extra stagger. That's why I think Scorpion and Shujinko worked really well when I was using them, as he already had really good staggers and that forward 3-4 or forward 3-3 or whatever it was, and then you throw another Shujinko stagger on the end, and then is he finishing with Shujinko, or is Shujinko going to do another move after that? You get all these extra staggers. That team was fun. I might revisit it one time out of boredom.
We'll have to. After Final Combat, we should have a post-mortem, an MK1. We'll call it a soft post-mortem because we don't know what else is coming, right? But might be a good. We know no new characters and things like that, so maybe we should. We've talked about this before, like recapping all the teams that we played and who we thought we were going to play versus who we ended up playing and stuff, right? Because I play more characters than I thought that I ever would. I say that I usually just, play a couple like in every game, but in Justice, I feel like I messed around with a bunch of characters too. And in this game, like it's easily like 5 or 6 characters for me, which is at least double what I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, we could do that. I'm the same way. I was just kind of playing around with characters, seeing how well they worked with Shujinko, and I'm like, oh, this actually works pretty well. And this character, like Sindel, never thought I'd ever play Sindel, but there I went. I went to Evo with her. It was my main, so
yep.
Is what it is. So speaking of Evo and that kind of thing, it's a great time to be a fighting game player right now, because there's just so much happening right now. That's things that are coming out. I recently saw that I missed that Marvel, is it Tokon or is it Token? I'm not sure how it's pronounced. I've just seen
Tokon,
and that's a game I actually want to try out because it looks super duper fun with like the, because at first I saw it was like an assist game, and I was like, I'm not really into that as much, but like then it kind of seems like it's kind of more like MK1 cameo-ish, maybe-ish kind of a thing.
That's what people have talked about. So you've got 3 assists, and it's technically a tag game, like a 4v4, but you all share 1 health bar, and I think your health increases and your resources increase as you lock, because you only start with your first assist. Right. And there's each assist is in their own little position, right? If you look at the UI, it's like a diamond shape, and you're the anchor. You're at the very top, right? You're the character that's on the screen. And then if you're going around clockwise, the next one over is like your main assist and whatever. They have it like categorized, like, I don't know, like assault, and then there's one that's vertical and one that's, I don't know, a projectile or something. But they're all unique, and that's determined. So say like every character in the game has their complete character, but when they use as an assist, they have 3 different moves, but they can only use one at a time, right? And that's determined by what position they're at. And so, like when you tag out, so say like you use your second assist once you've unlocked them, right? And then you tag them out. Your character that you were before is now the second assist position, which is giving you, maybe you want their specific vertical reversal or something like that, right? And if you fuck up and you get Storm in there instead, you're like, oh no, that's not the one that I wanted. Or it seems like some interesting management and stuff.
Oh, interesting. I like that idea. So it's like you could have, like, say if I was to skin it in Mortal Kombat, like you would have like Sub-Zero with his main moveset, and then he could use the Scorpion, like say just the spear as the assist, tag Scorpion in and have Scorpion's complete moveset, and now he uses, like, say just the Ice Ball kind of idea. Is that?
So let's say you're Quan Chi Shujinko, right?
All right.
But you get to choose, your team is 2 more than that. So it's like, okay, so you're Quan Chi, you're Shujinko, you're Frost, and you're Serena. Right.
Okay.
You don't unlock Frost and Serena at first, like, and that determines, like, I think like losing a round unlocks an assist and doing other things do. So it kind of like snowballs as the game goes on, and depending on like what's happening. But now you just start as Quan Chi Shujinko, and your assist with Shujinko would be just like a summon, like what you're using now, right? So say it's just like a pet punch or something like that. And if you swap him out, now Quan is the assist, and now you're playing as Shujinko, like if he was a roster character.
Right.
But the move that Quan Chi can do is limited to that first slot, right? Once you have all 4 of your assists, you know, what Quan Chi's doing in that first slot is not what Quan Chi would be doing in the second or the third slot.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. That sounds super fun. I'm actually pretty stoked to, like, I think you could put together a pretty fun team with that kind of. I might get a little crazy, but I mean, that seems to be the way that Marvel games go.
So people that really want a tag game are kind of tagging. The tagging part seems a little bit awkward. It's not like what you would expect from a traditional tag game, like your opportunities to tag in. And I feel like that's kind of like a big gripe right now, which puts the more focus on from the people that want a tag fighter, right? In the traditional sense, I feel like that's kind of a gripe in the current narrative. So it puts way more emphasis on the 3 assists you have, which has people comparing it to, you know, cameos and MK1. That's kind of like what you can expect. But say like you had Serena, when she's in the first slot, she could only do the pea shooter projectile. But when she's in the second slot, when you use Serena, she can only do the up kick. And when she's in the third slot, is when she can do the curse or something like that, right?
Right.
So it depends where she's positioned.
That's super cool. I'm actually super stoked to kind of get into that game. I definitely will be playing it. How seriously, I'm not really sure. I'll have to get in there and start messing around with things and see what I can find out. But
I'll play it the way I played Rivals, because I like just the IP, kind of like in general, and it's a little bit more kind of gets. I like seeing Marvel outside of the cinematic universe, the oversaturation from it and stuff. And like this is like a very heavily Japanese game. It's developed by ArcSys and has definitely that sort of presentation, like the way Iron Man looks is super sick. So it's kind of cool to see like some characters we may have not seen, at least in this medium. And that where you're kind of used to seeing too in the cinematic universe. I felt that way about Rivals and stuff too. I feel like it's one, like we talked about last week, I wasn't like officially like fuck yeah on board with MK1 until Ashura was revealed. I'm waiting for like a Nightcrawler or Gambit or something like that for them to start announcing more characters before I get too excited about it. But I'm sure I'll try it, because I just like to try fighting games in general. You know?
It's fun, you know, like once you kind of master one, and then you kind of start to branch out a little bit, and it makes it, you kind of get a step above other people who are just maybe, say, like you were saying, Marvel fans playing a fighting game. So you're kind of just like a step above that already just by having those fundamentals. So it's kind of cool.
And I feel like I just learned something different in every game, right? Because games are different and they work differently, but there's always like takeaways to apply to every other game.
Oh, 100%.
You know, neutral and decision making and things like that.
And that's why you see players like Justin Wong and whatnot they'll enter 5 or 6 different games and they'll just beast all of them, because like it's just you've played all those different games and learned all those fundamentals, and that's just how you do. That's cool. So
Yep.
So that's what I'm excited for. Some other stuff. 2XKO is entering beta, I think next week, something like that. It's like a
closed beta, which is their soft launch, so it's not going away. It's just out, but it's in beta.
Right. I'm honestly not too really stoked on that game. I don't know any of the like that IP at all. I know you had a little bit of time with it, and I remember you saying that you maybe weren't so crazy about it, if I remember.
No, it's definitely not. I mean, it's going to be free to play, and so if you're in the alpha labs, then you're going to because it's starting out as a closed beta, so not everyone's going to have access to it. But they said if you're in the previous alpha lab tests, and it's only going to be on PC at first, right? In this first like closed beta, so that's kind of the stipulations. But anyway, so I did play the first alpha test, and I was like, I like the idea of it. The cool thing about it is that, because it's 2v2, but it can be literally 2 players versus 2 players, right? You and Blue versus me and Carl or something like that. And when people get tagged or you make the decision to go in, I'm pretty sure the person that's not currently playing tags themselves in, right? Or choose like their timing on their assists and stuff. So you got to think about the synergy you got to have with your other player and what's going on in the game. I feel like there's a fun factor and a stress level there, but I'm sure there'll be 4-person sets in tournaments for that game, right? Like legit 2v2 brackets. So that's interesting. And the League characters are like, okay, I was never into League, like really. But I feel way better about the Marvel game than I do about 2XKO. That's for sure.
That whole theory kind of takes apart part of the reason that I like fighting games, because like when I was playing Rivals, there were times where like I was the problem and I was causing my team to lose, and I hated that feeling.
I don't like that either. Yeah.
So
I don't
like that
taking
at
people
all.
down with me.
No, if I'm fighting games one-on-one, I make a mistake, it's me dealing with it. I'm not having somebody else to answer to, and that's why part of the reason I like fighting games. So like, I'm not sure. If it's free to play, I might try it, but like, I don't foresee myself taking it super duper seriously. I was excited for it when it was first announced, but then the more I learned about it, I don't know. It would have to be something pretty, put Quan Chi in as a guest character. I'll play it maybe, but
these I don't even think that games like Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat are particularly slow. But I feel like, dude, outside of like that and Tekken, games just move way too fast for me. It's so hard for me to invest enough time, like to where it gets to the point that things start to slow down enough that I understand like what's going on. I felt that way about Strive, even like Grand Blue to a degree, and that's what 2XKO is going to be from what I gathered in that first alpha lab. And I feel that way about most games. I can't get them to slow down, like in my head, right? It's too much going on, and I can't. It all blurs together. I felt that way watching Dragon Ball and stuff. I never played that game, but I was like, literally have no idea what's going on.
There's just too much stuff on the screen, that kind of thing. The next game that I'm going to talk about, I think you should try if you've never tried it already, and that's Virtua Fighter 5 Revo. They're having a beta next week that, thanks to Hater, just informed me about, because I didn't even know about it, so I'm definitely signing up when I'm done recording here. But that's that game's whole thing, is it's meant to be like the traditional fighting style, and it is a little bit on the slower side, and maybe not spectator friendly, but I find it super duper fun to play. I'm not great at it, but it's super fun to mash around in. I recently downloaded Virtua Fighter 5 through Game Pass, because I just kind of looked it up. I was like, oh, it's on Game Pass, sick, I'm going to download it. And I've been using that to kind of learn the lever list a little bit more, because there's not a lot of jumping in that game. They really don't jump a whole lot. So it's a little bit easier for me to kind of just get used to the buttons and just going through practice mode and just going through the moves list and all that kind of stuff. And it's a 3-button game. So it's you don't need to use anything too crazy. Yeah, punch, kick,
and guard.
Yeah.
So is that a block button, or is guard something specific that's not necessarily?
It's a block button.
Is that how you block, is the guard button? Okay.
Yeah. So it's and Virtua Fighter is one of the the OG. It is the OG 3D fighting game. So I mean, sidestepping is super powerful. And this was before you had games like Soul Calibur or Tekken or whatever that had like a designated like horizontal button. So you got to be really careful about what you're doing. And then you have like the characters are cool. Like you have a sumo wrestler and his whole thing is he's built to ring you out, like push you out of the ring. Like this is
that shit annoyed me, dude. That tilted me so hard in Soul. That was the worst part about playing Soul Calibur 6 is getting ring out and stuff, right? The very first interaction is just like, man, I know it's scrubby, but that was like super tilting for me, like all the time.
No, it creates for some infuriating matchups where you're just actually like just destroying the person. They just one move, just boop out of the ring, and you're like, oh, all that effort just gone. But like, it adds an extra layer to it, right? Because like, there's a character who her whole thing is she throws you over her head. So like, when you see her backing up to the end of the ring, and you're kind of like, I know what's happening here, you know?
Right. You're trying to ring her out, but she has something else in mind. I like doing stuff like that. I like doing that in fighting games where I feel okay walking back, and I'm just ready for the old side switch.
Yeah, the old 1-2. So I'm pretty stoked for that game. It looks, pretty freaking sick from what I've seen. They got a new dynamic blocking system, which I still don't 100% understand. I think it has something to do with like maybe similar to like a flawless block or something like that, but I have to look into that more.
Is that in this one or the Virtua Fighter 6 that's coming out? Are you talking about this?
It might be in the 6 if I'm being honest, because I get confused.
That one I'll try for sure. I don't know if I'll play Rev 5. I might, like, once 6 gets closer, like when the hype train starts and it's determined that it's going to be, what parts of the legacy you're carrying over. Like, could I just start building some sense of gameplay now that's going to reward me in the future? And when did this game come out? Because if it looks like it came out 20 years ago, then I probably won't like it because I'm shallow like that.
Well, the original Virtua Fighter 5 came out like maybe 10 years ago, 8 years ago. But this Revo is kind of like an upgrade to it. It's just kind of a bridge.
Oh, that's right. All the HD stuff. Okay. Yeah, who would I play in that game?
I'm not 100% sure if I'm being honest. I see you playing Jean or Jean, I think, playing them. Possibly Pi, but I'm not sure. Maybe Go. Pi is like she's like basically the game's Katana. Like she's like the main female character. She's the one I was talking about that will walk backwards and try and toss you out of the ring kind of idea.
Oh, okay.
And she's the main love interest of Akira, who is like the scorpion of the game, or the Ryu or whatever. He's the even looks like it. He's got the friggin' black bandana on with the white gi.
the Andy Bogart or Terry Bogart or whatever.
Yeah, whatever those guys' names.
I can't keep track of any of them. Yeah.
So,
maybe I'll try it.
Yeah, if you have Steam or Xbox, it's on the old game anyway. Is on the Game Pass.
Is it gonna have crossplay? Is that what this beta is testing? Is crossplay and netcode and stuff, or is it?
Well, it's on multiple platforms. So, like I said, I just found out about today thanks to you. So,
yep, rollback and crossplay, and they did the balance update. PlayStation Store. Here, I'm looking right now.
Yeah, so I play Wolf.
Hey, it's a $20 game. That's not bad.
See, it feels better if you don't like it, and it's just like, it's $20. It's like whatever, right? So I'm really excited for that series. Like I said, I've been learning kind of when I'm winding down in the evenings, I'll just have practice mode open, just working on some inputs and stuff. And, my character is like one of the few with like a resource management, which is why I picked him. It's like, I like resource management. I feel like in MK1 I got away from that a little bit, but, in this game, he's like one of the few characters that has something like that. So mash around with that. And yeah, I'll probably have some content on that game when it drops. I'm passionate about that series. It was something I just kind of fell into. Like a friend of mine was like, hey, you should try this game. And I was like, oh, I used to play this at the arcades when I was a kid. I love this game. And then I just kind of, after I was competitive in some fighting games, I started learning this game at more of a competitive standpoint. And then the community is like super cool too. Like I remember I went to one of their forum sites before Discord was around or whatever, and I was like, hey, do you guys have a tier list for this game? And they're all like, what's a tier list? I'm like, you don't have a tier list? And they're like, characters just have their things that they do. There's Not necessarily. Like, there's strong characters, but like any character can win. I'm like, huh, that's super cool. So I liked having like a refreshment of the community that aren't arguing over who needs what kind of idea. The game's been pretty much the same since, with a couple tweaks here and there. So
who's Sarah Bryant? She looks like a hater character.
She would totally be a hater character. She would be like Melina of the game, except not like the dark, the monster kind of a thing. But like, as
she
far
looks
as
like Nina from Tekken with longer hair.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, she's got a brother Jackie as well, and those are like, she's the zoner, I guess, of the game. So she's got like super duper long legs and shit, and that's what her game plan is to just kind of keep you at range and take advantage of stubby characters. But she's like also an all-rounder kind of idea. So yeah, she's super cool. But yeah, I'm excited for that. That being said, I think that's going to do it for us for another week here, gushing about other fighting games and all that kind of thing. I got a beta I have to go sign up for now. So as always, if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like because it really helps me out, and subscribe to the event. We make new videos almost every single day. Hashtag Bonehawks and all that stuff, and we'll see all you Bonehawks in the next video.
Accept your death.